there. Welcome to Lunchtime Live. My name is Maria. I am here. We are broadcasting from the salt marsh tidal linkage, we call it, this section of salt marsh, this particular channel just south of the visitor center here in Imperial Beach at the Tijuana River National Estuarine Research Reservoir, or Tijuana Estuary for short. And my name is Maria. I am an education specialist and research assistant here, bringing to you Lunchtime Live. Let's see, we've got a couple of people, looks like, in the audience right now. If anyone is out there and can hear me and the sound is all right, we always like to do these sound checks. It is a little windy, it's a little gray day, there are helicopters. I see some thumbs up, so I'm guessing that the sound is good. Hi, DJ from New York. Awesome. And can I block the wind? Well, I can do my best. I'm actually going to get down on the ground in a little while, but for now, I just thought I'd give you a shot of the salt marsh as we dive in today's program, as we untangle the mystery of Cuscuta. Cuscuta. It's a fun word to say. It's a salt marsh species. And I will show you in just a minute which particular species I'm speaking of. Thanks, Omar. You can hear me. Great. All right. So let us take us down on the ground. But first, a nice overview of the salt marsh. Again, the tidal linkage. This is a channel, tidal creek, just south of the visitor center, and that's the visitor center there in the background, which is now open. We opened about a week ago, and you can see it's a low tide right here at high noon. So I'm just reading the comments here as thank you for the love. It's a low tide this noontime. So let me get down and let's take us down. I'm going to head down to the marsh. You can see the marsh vegetation is relatively low as we get into today's salt marsh species, Cuscuta salina. All right, let's see. I'm going to turn this around and get you guys down on the ground with me. We got to get down low to take a look at today's salt marsh species, Cuscuta salina. Who knows what that is? Salt marsh dodder. Salt marsh dodder, also known as golden thread, although I've never heard that before, but it's in the literature. Cuscuta, oops, I keep saying Cuscuta salina. It's Cuscuta pacifica. I knew I'd do that. Cuscuta pacifica in the Convolvulaceae. Now you're seeing several salt marsh plants here. I almost want to make you guys guess. This is not your average flowering plant. Anyone in our audience happen to know what Cuscuta pacifica is? Salt marsh dodder. And in our shot here of these salt marsh plants, can you tell me what colors you're seeing? What colors are you seeing? Because this plant is not the stereotypical color that plants generally are. Now I know there's a delay, so I like to wait a minute or two for the response. Is anyone orange and green? Thank you, Chad. Yes, we see a lot of orange, we see a lot of green. We're gonna zoom in a little closer. Notice the orange. What do you see? That's orange. What do you see that's orange? Something very orange cream mixed with lime green. Very nice. Yeah, there's some white as well. All right, so today's salt marsh species for Lunchtime Live is Cuscuta pacifica, salt marsh dodder. It is the orange in this shot. It is the orange stringy, and we were talking about untangling the mystery of Cuscuta. We're talking about this orange thread-like vine species. This is a plant in the Convolvulaceae family. And there are over 200 species of Cuscuta. This is Cuscuta pacifica, found from British Columbia to northern Baja in these coastal marshes, coastal salt marshes, bays and estuaries. String-like, very stringy, that's why untangling, surrounding itself, tangling itself on plants like this pickleweed right here, winding itself around, being supported by the other salt marsh plants, these other what we call halophytes, these salt-tolerant plants in the marsh. Now, plants typically are green because they're filled with chlorophyll and they're photosynthesizing. Well, Cuscuta pacifica, I like to just call it Cuscuta. A lot of us who work with salt marsh plants, we just call it Cuscuta, but we're salt marsh daughter, is a plant that is unable to photosynthesize, to make its own energy. So it attaches to these halophytes. These, good morning, yes, good afternoon. I know it's right at that transition, so it's hard to say good afternoon. So it gets its nutrients and water from attaching itself to a salt marsh plant. Often pickleweed, like it's showing here. Good morning, Sonia. Thanks for joining. And other plants, well, we are seeing it here on another one called Frankenia, which is this one with more curled leaves. Well, you see, there it is. And it will grow. This is an annual plant, by the way, an annual plant, so it lives and dies in a single season. And it will cover the salt marsh. Cover the salt marsh in a very mat-like, carpeted way. And sometimes, and I don't know, for those of you who might spend time inland, coastal sage scrub hiking, I like to hike at a place in Mission Trails where there is a different species of Cuscuta that just blankets plants like buckwheat. So dense with this thread-like, it's a viney plant that it's just fluorescent orange. Yeah, just fluorescent orange. And yes, this is a flowering plant. This is a plant. The leaves have been reduced to scales, and I do have the macro with me, and we'll put that on. I'll get that now. I was trying to look for the scale leaves, but I could not find them earlier with the macro. But yes, it's blooming right now. So let's get that macro lens on and take a look at those flowers. Tiny, white, sort of bell-shaped, pointed, triangular. The flowers are coming from the Cuscuta, Chad. Chad's asking, are the flowers, white flowers, coming from the pickleweed or the Cuscuta? And that's a great question. They're coming from the Cuscuta. How much bigger that flower is than the actual orange vine-like stem that supports it. So these are a flower that supports the brown elfin, a butterfly. Okay, these do produce a fruit, produce a seed. This is how this plant is spread, through seed. Yes, nature is wonderful. It's amazing. So this plant attaches itself with its ostoria. They're like a root-like structure that taps in to the salt marsh plants and inland to the coastal sage scrub, and grows these dense mats. And here we're not seeing it quite as dense and thick. I'm just trying to move it around here. This is a parasite. This is a parasite. There it is. It's beautiful, that bright color orange. If you read descriptions, they sometimes say yellow. I see it like this. I've seen that inland variety, so bright, like fluorescent. I think there are satellite imagery of large mats of Cuscuta. Not Pacifica, but a different variety. So again, an annual vine, parasitic plant, flowering this time of year, I think through the summer. Trying to get close and get that in there, trying to be steady as I can. Who knew? Well, when you're working with salt marsh plants, you see this, but if you are far off on trail away from this, you may not see it unless it gets really thick and dense. Parasite in the salt marsh. Now, no one's asked this, it's a question that came up. It is a parasite, so it's stealing nutrients, it's stealing water from these plants, from pickleweed in this particular example here, but does it kill it? You know, does it kill the pickleweed? I don't think so. I don't notice that in our field work. Look at that, those hairs. Let's see, can we find the scale-like leaves? It's really, maybe this is going to be something you have to look up and find a photograph of, because I could not find it. It's a good question. Is it toxic? It's not, to my knowledge, no. It has not been stated as toxic or poisonous. But there it is, tangling, almost choking, although I don't think it kills the plant. Gives it a home. Yeah, they work together. The pickleweed is not benefiting from the Cuscuta pacifica, the salt marsh daughter. However, so it's a one-way, oops, didn't mean to do that. Hi everyone. All right, here it is. Again, so we're seeing it now flowering. So if you have those high power lenses, next time you're on salt marsh, near a salt marsh, you've got some high power lenses. If you're a photographer, zoom in, look for that Cuscuta. It's tough to see otherwise, unless you can get close, but look for that orange. Look for that bright orange. It's Cuscuta pacifica. Okay, any other questions? I guess that's not a lot more to say about it. But no roots, parasitic plant with austoria. Austoria, those are the kind of root-like structures that attach to other plants. Those beautiful flowering flowers, part of the plant right now. And again, supporting something called the brown elfin, a butterfly. I'm going to pull this off right now and give you another look. So as you get back from the salt marsh scene, you start to lose it. So you wouldn't even see it. I'm kneeling down on the ground. So from a trail, this is a lot tougher to see unless you know what to look for. Okay, so, all right, everyone. Well, there you go. Your parasite for the day. Cuscuta pacifica, salt marsh daughter. Now, again, another shot for those of you. We are open. Here's that center. We opened last week. Stay tuned for in-person nature and bird walks to come. We haven't started them yet, but we will get those on the schedule as soon as we get our approval. And you can join us in person, but we will continue our lunchtime live, even still. All right, so I'm not rude, there I am. Hi everyone, thank you for joining me today. If you have any questions, comments about Cuscuta pacifica after the broadcast, or if you've joined us later for the recording, feel free to ask. I will be very happy to answer those in the comments. So thanks everyone, have a great rest of the day. Bye.